podcast where we put you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas. And as usual, we're talking about crowdfunding and all kinds of ways to raise money and for different projects and different industries. The last couple of shows that we've done really I've just been targeted with Opportunity Zone information, and we're going to continue that today. And as such, we're going to bring in Vicky Hachmala from the QOZ Marketplace and the Opportunity Zones Authority.com. Vicky, how you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Another perfect day in Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Another great day. Our last couple of podcasts have been generating a lot of questions about opportunity zones because there's a lot going on with that. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there as well, as you probably have seen also, right? You see a lot of people asking you questions, and listen, we're talking about education for this. And, Vicky, by the way, we're talking about education. Today we got a great show because we're going to bring on a guy out here who's really taking the charge with the educational aspect of these opportunity zones. So let's introduce. We're going to introduce Chris Fusco on the line. Chris, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing? Great to be here.
Great. Chris, you're the brand manager and the business development manager over at the Opportunity Zones Expo. Is that right?
That's right. We're out here, headquartered in Irvine, California. So I'm right there with you, having another beautiful day in paradise.
Yeah, exactly. And you got to be one of the most busiest people in the world now because of, I'm sure you're getting the same amount of questions and the same amount of desire for education regarding opportunity zones that we've seen, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the most hotly talked about topics in investing and in real estate. I actually was reading of the 2019 most impactful things that people are going to be talking about. That was in the Business Journal. The number one thing out of their top 18 was opportunity zones. So we're right in the heart of one of the most talked about and influential new bills that's been out there in a long time.
Yeah, no question. And let me ask you, how did you get into this whole opportunity zones environment? What's your background in this? Or you guys have been doing a lot of expos over the years, I believe.
Yeah, so we've been doing expos in EB5 since 2012, which is another way of stimulate the economic stimulation in underserved areas. So we've been holding expos of this variety for a while. So a lot of our clients have been in the space or interested in the space. So we're bringing them over. So we're not just kind of, you're seeing a lot of, and I'm sure that you've seen that there's a lot of people who are running conventions and expos like we are, that are just jumping into the space because it's the hot new topic. Whereas we've been actually doing things similar to this, and this is what our clients have been asking for from us. So we have the experience, and we're well versed in running these educational seminars and things like that. My personal background is I was in real estate in New York City for over a decade before I got into opportunity zones, working with new developments and developers, private equity funds, 1031 exchanges. So this was really a natural fit for me to kind of transition into opportunity zones, and that's how I got involved.
Right. So when you're doing these conferences, let's say on EB5 before, EB5, like you mentioned, it's kind of a similar program. There's a lot of money involved in that. I believe that was the Visa program, right? Where you invest a certain amount. Okay. You're talking about big time developers there because they're looking. Like Vicky, did you know the SLS project here in Las Vegas? That was entirely done by EB5 money, from what I understand. And,
I didn't realize that. And
that's a substantial amount of money. So what you're saying, Chris, is a lot of these guys who you've cultivated via EB5 are the same type of people, maybe the same type of investors who might be interested into the opportunity zones as well, right?
Sure. Yeah. There's some crossover there.
Right. And again, these guys who are doing the funds, they're mostly developers. Would you say real estate guys for the most part?
Sure. Yeah. For the most part, I'd say probably it's more so here in the opportunity zones, but Yep.
Right. All right. So then now let's say, for example, okay, you guys are looking to do this expo and everything. I know you got one coming up in Las Vegas. You already did one in California?
Yeah, we did one in Los Angeles in January. We had over 1,000 people at that event, so that was a one-day event, and we're building off of the momentum of that. And we're actually, since we had so many people and there was so much great feedback from that event, we're doing a 2-day event in Las Vegas on May 9th and 10th at the Mandalay Bay. This one is going to be really important and really, I think, great for the people who attend, because in the next week or two, as you know, we're expecting kind of some new regulations and some clarifications that come out regarding Opportunity Zones. So a lot of our expo is going to be focused on that and really the educational aspect of that, because as you know, I think with something that everybody wants to get into and everybody is kind of clamoring to be a part of, the most important thing, especially when dealing with the IRS and regulations, is to make sure that you're the most educated. And really what we focus on too is not only building that educational aspect of our expo, but we make sure that it's also a networking and marketing platform as well for key players who are going to end up working together. Like I said, I was in real estate before, and I've been to a ton of different expos and conventions that were built around real estate, and you end up learning a lot at those things, but you may not walk away meeting people that you want to be in touch with and do business with. And what we're really focused on is making sure that not only do you leave learning something, but you also, meet the people that you're going to be doing business with.
What kind of, or who are you having as your speakers or your presenters? And I'm sure you're going to have panelists discussing various topics. Give us an idea of who's going to be there.
So we're going to have about 100 speakers. We've got about 80 lined up right now, so there's still we're still looking for some speakers to come in and talk about some specific topics. Our keynote speakers are going to be Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona, Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, and then we also have Mark Amodi, the congressman from Nevada. We also have a robust group of speakers from a multitude of different industries, ranging from DLA Piper, KPMG, Deutsche Bank. So we've got a lot of a good variety of topics that we're going to be addressing, as well as we have a day of workshops where you kind of can split into separate groups, as well as there's going to be some networking events as well. So we have a lot that we're tackling, and we're looking forward to having a really great event.
Well, sounds great. So you anticipate having many more people attending than you did last in LA. So how many are you expecting? Mandalay Bay, of course, can hold quite a few.
Yeah, like I said, we had about over 1,000 for the last one. We're expecting more. I don't know the exact number, but we're on track to have more than we did in Los Angeles. So yeah, I mean, I think and making it a 2-day event, it really, I think, is something that the people wanted. And the one thing that I'm really proud of, and proud of my team, and proud of what we're doing, is that the execution of the one in Los Angeles was, since we've done these before, a lot of the people who are our sponsors for this Las Vegas event are actually people who were at our Los Angeles event, came to the event. Maybe they weren't sponsors of the first event, but were just ticket holders, and they ended up calling us afterwards and saying, let us know when you're having the next event. We want to be sponsors. So to me, that's telling me, okay, we're doing something right, and we want to build off of that. So that to me is something that I'm really proud of what we're doing.
So if you want to know about Opportunity Zones, how to invest in them, how to create a fund, and where to put your money, this is the place you need to be. Absolutely.
And we have, that's, a lot of people are coming to network, and we are very proud to make this the place to go, and as far as education and networking in this space, because it is, to me, such a robust space and such a new space that there really needs to be a focus on the education as well as meeting the right people and making sure that you're connecting with the right people to accomplish your goals, your investment goals.
Can you see any kind of trend going on with opportunity zones where people are more investing, where the funds are, the locations that are more active than others, like rural opportunity zones compared to urban opportunity zones? Where's the most activity, do you think?
Well, it's funny because it's kind of yet to be seen. I think there's still some trepidation as far as people entering the market because they're waiting for those new regulations to come out and getting some clarification so that they can make sure that they're doing everything accurately. I would say, with these opportunity zones are based off of the 2010 census tract, which I don't know if you guys have noticed, but things are not the same as they were in 2010.
Right. Yes.
Not by a long shot.
Right. So a lot of these opportunity zones, I think that are probably going to be, proliferated first are going to be the ones that are close to the urban centers, but that's not where the majority of the opportunity zones exist. I think the one common misconception is that opportunity zones, which tend to be made up of lower density census tracts near the urban core, are really kind of impoverished areas. But the truth is that a lot of them are already somewhat gentrified. I can tell you, I don't know the exact numbers, but I can tell you just according to recent LA Business Journal, so more local here, is that Los Angeles County had about $24 billion in commercial real estate, which 20% of that was in opportunity zones here in LA. So we're seeing that that money is kind of pouring in. A lot of the most active opportunity zones are going to tend to be Portland, which seems to have a lot of opportunity zones, Oakland, and some of these areas that are already gentrifying, if that makes sense. But I would anticipate that once there's more clarification, which is our goal of making people more educated on this, there's going to be a lot larger pool and a lot of these other areas being developed as well.
Well, and even if investors want to invest, they may not necessarily create a fund and invest in an opportunity zone, but there's a lot of areas around, surrounding and adjacent to the opportunity zones where they could invest whatever capital they have, not capital gains capital necessarily, but impact the opportunity zones by putting in the housing, putting in businesses that correspond to what's going on as far as investment in the opportunity zone. Is that something you're noticing?
Right. So this is something that I think, kind of building off what you're saying, is that let's take the example of Amazon, who seems to be committed in putting their new headquarters in opportunity zones. For instance, the deal that fell through in Long Island City out in New York and Queens, that was in the opportunity zone, and that was by design. However, I could know, having a knowledge of the city's real estate and being close to a lot of the real estate people out there, there was a huge kind of a surge of excitement based around the real estate outside of there, because they were bringing so many jobs into that area, and we're thinking, oh wow, well, this is going in, Amazon's coming to Long Island City, there's going to be the development, 50,000 jobs are going to be coming to this area, and there's going to be the development of Forest Hills, which is a neighborhood that's adjacent to that neighborhood, is going to boom. I'm not sure of how much of that is going to be actually true down the line, but there's certainly some momentum and a case to be made that yes, that is something that could happen, that we could see. Yes.
Well, all of those in that situation in Long Island City, you need the ancillary services to provide the services for those 50,000 people who are coming in to do the work in Amazon. And that kind of wiped out that whole idea, which was
right, yeah.
such a serious mistake on somebody's part.
Right. It was what happened when local politicians get involved, and sometimes the momentum and people's political agendas can get involved with maybe what is best. So you never really know what the out
Well, there's red tape everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's red tape everywhere. Right. I mean, someone could argue. Obviously there was someone in the city at that time that was arguing against it. So
yeah, that's right.
There's two sides to every story.
Well, and when you're talking about a lot of money too, it gets magnified 10 times at least. So that's why everybody hears about it. I'm wondering, Chris, with your real estate background, are you seeing brokers and real estate people, agents, et cetera, starting to market Opportunity Zone properties at a little higher rate? I know here in Vegas, a lot of the commercial guys are sending out those blast emails about how, this is an Opportunity Zone eligible property. You see that in California at all?
You do. Real estate agents and in the real estate industry out there, whenever they can find a way to make some extra money, that they're going to be involved in it.
Oh, so absolutely. Go on.
The more that they're educated on what they are, I really would say that for the most part, a lot of them, aside from probably the big time commercial real estate people, salespeople are not really aware of of what opportunity zones are and how they can help. And really, I think the way they can educate themselves is probably in the way that they can help their clients, either whether it be that they're buying real estate or not. If my client is a heavy investor in the stock market and I have knowledge of the opportunity zones and what I can do with my capital gains, this could actually help them with the sale. But unfortunately, I don't think that they've gotten the residential guys have gotten that far, but the commercial guys seem to be on it.
Yeah, a lot of them do. You know what they should do? You should, at the expo that you have, you should have like a roped off section there full of real estate agents just in that area and say, listen to this, learn something here. Because they're the ones that really need it. And I'm shocked. I really am shocked that the people of, quote, experts and professionals don't know what this is. I mean, we had an experience too, Vicki in particular, trying to find census tract and parcel numbers and no one knows how to do it. This is at the county level. It's like, really?
Right,
it's
right.
Amazing.
And as a real estate agent, you should know, and especially if you're trying to service your high-end clients who are going to be investing. I mean, this is a great alternative to a 1031 exchange, depending on your client. So it gives you actually another pool of options as far as what your clients can do and how you can service them as far as making good financial decisions. But it just doesn't seem like maybe they haven't. A lot of the residential guys haven't gotten around to it, but they will once they realize that there's money to be made. Now, the commercial guys, as we're seeing, and I'm sure you've seen, some of these land prices. Once these sellers of these landowners are realizing that these are located in opportunity zones, we're seeing those land prices go up 15-20%. So there is, these guys know, and then once they realize that they're realizing that their property values are worth more to developers. So there's also to take that into account too.
And there's opportunity zones not only in urban areas but also in rural areas. We spoke to Sheldon Mudd, who's going to be one of the speakers at the expo in May, who is working in northern Nevada, and he's working with rural opportunity zones, and his projects are revolving around a shrimp farm. And the shrimp farm is going to provide seafood to the Las Vegas Strip, to Salt Lake City, to Boise, Idaho. And in order to do that, they have to deal with the railways, the highways, the airports, and make sure the infrastructure is there in order to make the project successful. That's a completely different situation than here in downtown Las Vegas, where there's a lot of opportunity zones. Completely different.
Right, and at the end of the day, there are 8,700 of these opportunity zones spread out across the United States. So for the most part, you're going to see a lot of opportunity zones in these rural areas. And these are the ones that people are going to be, these secondary and tertiary markets as well. I mean, you look at a place like Nashville, Tennessee, which has one of the fastest growing populations. It's something that I would expect a lot of developers to start going in places like that, and also these rural areas where you can do the farming and things like that. And one thing that we are looking, which is very interesting to me, that I've been reading about, is that it's one of the things that needs clarification is actually cannabis farms, because the Opportunity Zone, the legislation really, it says that it's no sin business. But back when that sin business and sin was developed was back when cannabis was a class 1 narcotic. It's not included in the language. So is that technically a sin business, or is it where does that fall? Because it specifically says in the bill it's sin businesses, but that's not that's one thing that's not included in a sin business.
Right, and as far as cannabis, it doesn't say yes and it doesn't say no. I mean, it says no, you can't put in bars, you can't put in alcohol stores, liquor stores and that, but doesn't say anything about cannabis, which is a hot trend at this point in time.
Right. So exactly, there still is a lot of clarification that needs to happen, and on the regulations and things like that. People are going to be anxious and eager to hear so that they can jump in. And actually, that's one of the topics that will be touched on at our expo is things like that. We even have a panel about sin businesses in cannabis and things like that. So there's a wide range of topics that we're addressing, and that's one of them. So there's so much interest and so many topics to discuss. It's just the possibilities are literally endless. That's why our phone is ringing off the hook with questions, because there are so many questions, and they're just that's the one thing that we really want to make sure is that we have the information and the right people there to answer all these questions.
That's right, and this is a situation where if you're a risk and you are able to see the future and see the benefit of opportunity zones, get in at the ground floor. That could change your whole business life.
Right. We're talking about unprecedented tax breaks, essentially. You're unlike a 1031 where you basically have to keep exchanging until you die. You can basically defer all your tax capital gains after 10 years. It's zero.
Yeah, and another great difference is that a lot of people are looking at 1031 on just real estate gains. The opportunity zones really applies for any kind of capital gains. So if I sold a stock, for example, or if I sold a piece of artwork or whatever, those capital gains can be invested into these funds, and you don't have to worry about that like-kind requirement that the 1031 has.
Right. And really, I was reading the other day that U.S. investors are holding more than $6 trillion in unrealized capital gains. So
it's
that's
crazy
the
number.
Size of this market.
It's unbelievable.
Trillion with a T.
Right. Right.
So it's not a small chunk of change that's lying around, and that's why I think it's so important that people are educated on how to do this. They're connected with the right people to make sure it's done in compliance, because the consequences of not doing it right, and with 1031 exchanges, there's time constraints, and with this there are time constraints as well. But there also relies on starting a project, which takes much more than just trading in a piece of property. Right? It's much easier to sell a piece of property and then within 180 days buy a new piece of property. That's much easier than within 180 days picking a fund and then having another 180 days having that fund, start a project. You're really relying on a lot of different people. So you want to make sure that you're aligning with the right people, and people who have experience and people that have the knowledge, because if you miss these deadlines, not only are you going to be subject to capital gains tax that you were trying to defer, but you might be also subject to penalties from the IRS. So
yeah, Chris, you nailed it.
Really
you nailed it right there. Yeah, absolutely. That's the most important part. People have to understand if you're looking to invest in one of these things. That's one of the reasons why we created that Opportunity Zones Authority website, because that is the exact a problem that we're targeting on that site. You really have to invest with reputable people who've got a good track record and know what they're doing. Really hard to find out who these are, because as you know, you can self-certify these funds. I can make a fund tomorrow, for God's sakes, right?
Right.
And you really got to be careful, because you know what? If you invest in a fund that's bad, or if you get scammed because of whatever, the lack of due diligence or whatever the reason, where's the tax break there? You lost your money, right? So
right. And too, I mean, let's take the idea that maybe you invest with a developer who's raising their own funds, and you're only investing in. Let's say that fund doesn't work out. Well, maybe there's some funds that you can use that are going to diversify into maybe 30 different projects. So if one of them fails or doesn't meet this qualification, you at least have some protection there. So these are things that you need to really do your due diligence, make sure you're getting with the right funds and the right people, aligning yourself with people who have a track record, so that these kind of things, you don't take something that could be the best thing that ever happened to you and turn it into the worst thing that happened to you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's why everybody out there, you got to go to that Opportunity Zones Authority website and check it out, and that'll solve that problem. But before we stop the podcast, Chris, let's go over it one more time. When people go to these Opportunity Zone Expos, we talked about all the people going to be there, the panels, the speakers. Who's the best attendee there? Is it somebody who owes capital gains taxes? Is it a real estate person? Is it a fund manager? Who do you want in those seats, basically?
It's really everybody, and so we have everybody coming from CPAs to attorneys to developers to funds to people who are individual investors who are interested, to real estate agents, to everybody who wants to learn. And really, what our focus is like I said, is not really just to be an educational platform, but also to make sure that you're meeting and having a productive time there, meeting the right people that you may be working with. So one thing that we do is that we're not just sitting here in an office just selling tickets and selling sponsorships. Me and my team, we actually get on the phone with people. We learn about their business, who they want to meet, and each one of us is going to be at the expo ourselves, and we build relationships and make sure that we help you spend your time at our expos productively. Maybe we come up with people, we know people that after talking to you that we also know are going to be there, and we make a point to try to introduce you to them or make sure that you're at a certain workshop that we think would be beneficial. So that's really kind of what makes us, what we pride ourselves on is providing value and making sure that we are giving the best experience and most productive and valuable experience, not just on the educational side, but also on the networking side and the marketing side. And like I said, there's a lot of these kind of groups that are popping up and running expos, but maybe they're part of a large CPA company, but we don't have a dog in the fight. We're completely independent of that. We really want the best for our attendees.
Chris, you sound like a expert marketer with the old New York attitude there. You get it done, right?
Right. I'm out here, I love what I do, and I'm really excited about this. So, I mean, if my New York attitude comes through, that's just because I'm excited.
Yes, it did. And as a fellow New Yorker, I got it.
If you start hearing my accent and start pushing people out of the way, it's because I'm excited,
and Chris,
forget about it.
Forget right. One more thing. If somebody's listening to this and they want to go to the conference, do you have any kind of a discount that we could offer our listeners? People listening to this podcast right now, they're really psyched. They're ready to go online and make arrangements to get out here. Is there something that we could do for them, or discount wise?
Yeah, we do. And I sent you guys the link. We have a $100 discount for the 2-day tickets. $50 if you just want to come for the 1 day. And certainly, feel free to use that. Pass it along. Anybody who wants to come is welcome. The more the merrier. Everybody has a space and belongs in this space who wants to learn. So we will do whatever we can. You can give me a call. You can, if you have any questions, we can walk you through some of our other sponsorship options and things like that. Because some people do want to get more exposure at these events. There's a lot of different branding we offer and things like that. So certainly our website is www.opportunityzoneexpo.com, ozexpo.com. You can find us there. And, you know, you can always reach us, and we're available to answer any questions anytime.
Is Mandalay Bay offering discounts for out-of-town folks?
I believe they are. We do have a portion sectioned off.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Wow. So I guess the takeaway from this, if you want to get educated on opportunity zones, you got to go to the Opportunity Zone Expo on May 9th. Is that when you said it was? May 9th?
May 9th,
2 days?
May 9th and 10th. Yep.
May 9th and 10th, 2019 in Las Vegas. But it shouldn't take a lot of convincing to get people to come out to Las Vegas, right?
It doesn't, no.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially now.
Yeah. So, okay, so listen, Chris, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. It was great. It was great having you. Really, really good information for our audience. Really appreciate that.
I appreciate you having me, and hopefully, you know, when we're out in Las Vegas, you guys can come by.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
There.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. And Vicki, you have any closing remarks? Any closing comments?
Well, I think that if you're coming to Vegas, nevertheless, this Opportunity Zone Expo is the place to be.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt. I agree. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. Everybody out there, thanks again for listening to the Mappable USA podcast. We are at mappableusa.com, and everything that we talked about today on the podcast is going to be in the show notes, so make sure you check that out, in addition to your discount code, too, to attend the event. So check that out. Go to the website, scroll down, pick your syndication source that you like best, and subscribe to our show so you never miss another episode. If you want to be a guest today, like Chris did, fill up the guest form on the website. There's a little link there at the top, and we'll see about getting you on the show as well. So thanks again, everyone, for listening, and have a great week.